and welcome back to my channel. I thought we'd do something a little different today, a little fun, at least for me. Something about me is I love the r/am I the asshole Reddit page. Specifically, I love reading the asshole ones. Like, I always filter just for asshole because I think they're the funniest. Because it's just crazy how some people, when they're telling their story, they're very clearly the asshole. They're very clearly in the wrong, and they're just so wildly oblivious to it. Like, some people, to the point where sometimes I think it's rage bait. But there are genuinely people who will tell the story, and usually when you tell your story, you try to make yourself kind of seem in a better light than how things actually went. You do try to kind of turn the story to make you seem like you're in the right, and they are just so glaringly in the wrong, and I just have to laugh. Because it's so funny. I specifically wanted to look at some Am I the Asshole threads that are bookish or within the book realm. So I did filter some and I looked some up, and I figured we can go through them together and we can determine, are these people assholes? Are they not the asshole? Does everyone suck? Because I think that's usually what the general votes usually are. It's you're the asshole, not the asshole, everyone sucks, or everyone sucks here. And then I think there's a few other ones, but that's kind of the plan. I've seen other people do this for book ones, and then just like the generic am I the asshole based on their niche, and I think it's always so fun, so I wanted to do it here, and I figure you guys would enjoy it as much as I would enjoy it. So let's get into our first story. So the first one is, am I the asshole for not buying my daughter the book she wanted? My 12-year-old daughter recently got money for her birthday given by her stepmom. She has been talking a lot about a show called Hamilton recently. So when we were passing a bookstore, I asked her if she wanted anything. She said no, as she didn't really have any books in mind. So I asked if the show she was talking about, Hamilton, had a book. She didn't know, so after a bit of research, we went to see if the shop had it. Turns out it didn't, but the woman at the front desk said it was being restocked in 3 to 4 weeks. I asked my daughter if she was fine with waiting or wanted a different book, as I saw Percy Jackson on sale and heard it was similar to Harry Potter. She said she could wait, so I asked how expensive the book was, and it was expensive. If we bought it, it would use up all her birthday money, but she said it was fine. Instead, told her to just wait until November when her aunt was coming back from Britain, but she said she didn't want to wait and she was fine with using her money as she didn't really want to buy anything else. But to be honest, I wasn't fine with it. Since it's so expensive, it's probably really thick, and I don't want to spend all her birthday money on a book she'll probably only spend 1 week reading, because she can read 400-page stories in 3 days' time. After we left the bookstore, I told her this, and she said okay, but hasn't been talking to me much, except asking when meals are ready. I honestly feel like I'm not the a-hole, as I just don't want her to waste her birthday money, and besides, her aunt can give her the book in a few months, as she's a little wealthy and enjoys spoiling the kids in the family. So do you people think I'm in the wrong? One edit says, I forgot to say we can't watch the play as I currently can't afford Disney Plus, and even if we could, my daughter would still want the book. ETA, the book is called Hamilton the Revolution by Lin-Manuel Miranda. Well, yeah, you're the asshole, because A, you asked her what she wanted for her birthday, and that's what she wanted. It's not like she was asking for anything extravagant. It was a book. Like, the book might be a bit expensive, but again, this is the money that she's using. It's not your money. It was money that was given to her by her stepmom. So it's not even like you're going to be breaking the bank and you can't afford it. She has the money, and that's all she wants. And she's perfectly fine spending all her birthday money. So I'm not seeing what the issue is. Okay, if she gets a cheaper book, then what? She just pockets the rest of the money and doesn't use it and saves it for later? Or does she use the money that was given to her for her birthday, which I'm assuming is for her to buy herself something that she wants for her birthday, like, make it make sense? Because generally, you not being able to afford it doesn't make a difference either way, because you're not paying for it. So I'm not understanding why you're dictating what she can buy. I get she's 12, quote unquote, have the final say, but she wants a book. Like, she could be asking you for much worse things. This girl just wants to read the damn book. Who cares if she finishes it in a week? That's what books are for. I read The Way of Kings in a week, and that bitch is 1,000 pages. I still paid the 30-something bucks it costs to have that book, because that's just kind of how it is. It doesn't matter how fast or how slow you read the book. It's to get the experience of reading the book. Who cares if you read it quickly? You're in the wrong. Yeah, and then even some of the pies. Someone said, you're the asshole. Is there anything you want? I want this. No. Yeah, and someone said that's all she wanted. Like, she didn't want anything else. So essentially for her birthday, all she got was the money from her stepmom that you're refusing to let her spend. Yeah, literally saying, you're the asshole. It's a book, for God's sakes. Yeah, I'm like, if anything, I feel like there's parents out there, like, they want nothing more than for their kid to be like reading. They want nothing more than for their birthday they ask for books. Like, clearly, I mean, I obviously don't know anything else outside of this story, but she seems like a decent kid. All she wants is a damn book for her birthday. Get her the damn book. Because it seems like the book is, at least on Amazon, someone put in the comments that it's about $44, which, yes, is expensive for a book. fully aware of that, because even like $30 for a hardback, I feel like is kind of the standard now. I feel like I've seen as high as like 36. So it being 44, yeah, that's expensive for a book, but also that's literally the only thing she wants. It's $44. I don't see how that's an issue. Let her get what the fuck she wants. Yeah, and that's what there's people are saying. Like, you aren't spending her money. She's spending her money. I'm curious as to why this parent feels that like she's spending this girl's money. She's like wasting this money. It's like, no, she's getting exactly, well, she is asking for exactly what she wants, and she knows that's going to be all the money. What is the issue here? What is the issue here? Everyone seems pretty much in agreement on this one that like, yeah, it's kind of her birthday. That's all she wants. And all she wanted was a book. Like, get her. And as a kid who used to ask for books, I remember my mom bought me an entire series for Christmas once. So like, just get her the damn book. You're not paying for it. It's coming out of her money. She was well aware of the financial obligation of this book. Just get her the damn book. All right, next story. Am I the asshole for threatening to take away my sister's book from her if she keeps telling our parents what it's about? I'm a strong reader. I read a lot of books, typically the ones off Book Talk or well-known romance authors. I read a lot of romance, murder mystery, and fantasy books. My sister could not be more opposite, but recently she finished a book I recommend to her, and she loved it. Pretty much turned her into me. I brought a few books with me while on holiday, so I wouldn't run out of choices while on vacation. My sister started to get into reading, so I gave her a book, which is a romance novel. It was King of Wrath by Anna Huang. She started to read and obviously started to enjoy it. I have read that one. I'm also reading a romance novel, which is more of a dark romance genre. It's called Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. Yikers. I will admit I was hesitant to letting my sister borrow my book because I knew she would make remarks or comments about the romance part in front of my parents, who are oblivious to the type of books I read. They know it's romance, and I often tell them the plot of books I really enjoyed, leaving out the romance bits. My sister insisted she would not do it and treat it as if it was a normal book, so I let her read it. She did the complete opposite and read parts of the book out loud, which are obviously not appropriate. She would show her boyfriend, and then her boyfriend would make comments. Then she would suggest mom should read my current book, and my mom would become curious and try to snatch the book of me. I told her I paid for it and she can't just snatch a book out of my hands. I was so annoyed and angry with my sister. She knows exactly what she's doing, despite me asking her not to so many times. She does it anyway. So I told her, if you keep being immature and doing what you're doing, I'll take away the book and give you something completely different to read instead. I've told you countless times to not be immature about it. You're 19, for God's sake, grow up. If you do it again, you can buy your own book instead of borrowing mine. This annoyed her because she knew I was right, and she kept telling me mom and dad wouldn't do anything. And I told her that's not the point, and I meant what I said, so she agreed to not do it again and has stopped, but occasionally she'll announce that she's reading a sex scene out loud for everyone to hear, including my mom and dad. And she finds it hilarious, but it's not as annoying as it used to be. But each time I bring it up, she gets annoyed and yells at me. Am I the asshole? Before I give my comments, we have an edit. I really downplayed this, so let me clear up a few things. The reason I threatened to take away the book was because she read sex scenes in public at dinner when we have guests or family over, and she was when she constantly nudges my parents to ask me what I'm reading, I feel ashamed and embarrassed. And when I don't say anything, she says it's probably a sex scene. After she does this, everyone just goes silent and awkward. While she's laughing, it feels like it's on purpose so she can get me in trouble. Here's the thing. With the edit, I feel for you, because personally, yeah, I'm not gonna announce to my parents if a book I'm reading is like smutty or if it has sex in it. But also, she's 19. I'm assuming, I think you're the older sister. This reads as if you're the older sister. What are your parents gonna do? Like, genuinely. I get you're kind of embarrassed by it, but like you act like, and I think you even said like she's trying to get you in trouble. I'm assuming you're at least 20. Like, genuinely, what are your parents gonna do? Did you say she's your younger sister? I don't know. I don't feel like you did, but it reads as if maybe she's your younger sister. If you are the younger one, still, it based on the fact that she's been doing this and your parents haven't said shit to you, I don't think your parents want to know. Probably not. They're probably just as awkward, feel it's just as awkward as you do. But like, you are harping on this as if you're going to get in trouble. They're going to punish you for what you're reading, and I don't really get that vibe. And I do say, and I feel like this is something I tell to a lot of people, you really gotta not care what people think about what you're reading in general. Because this is a big thing, especially I feel like on Book Talk, is that, and especially within the romance space, is that some people will be like, oh yeah, I read romance, but I also do this now. If you like to read romance, own that shit. I have never given a fuck about anyone's opinion on my book taste. I like to read romance. I like to read fantasy. I'll dibble dabble in a few of the other genres. I don't care. And sometimes a lot of shit I read kind of out of pocket. You saw the Unhinged vlog. I read that. And if someone asked me, like, yeah, I did. It was a weird book, sure, but I read it. You just gotta have to not give a shit about what people think about what you read. Do you enjoy it? Does it bring you joy? Are you liking it? Just read it. And then on to she's doing it on purpose to make you uncomfortable. I do think this definitely verges into she's being kind of a dick. And I mean, she's your sister, so I'm assuming she's intentionally doing this just to irritate you, which, stop letting it irritate you. Like, if you keep showing her that it's bothering you, she's probably gonna keep doing it. You kind of got to be like, okay, whatever, and just let it roll off your back. Do I think it's weird that she wants to read these sex scenes out during dinner? Yes. But also I feel like this is a situation where your parents got to be like, hey, can we not do that? Because is anyone else uncomfortable? Because I feel like this isn't just like a you thing that you would be uncomfortable with it. If I was sitting and having dinner with my family and someone wanted to read a sex scene from a book out, I'd be like, no. Like everyone at the table would be like, yeah, please don't do that. You know what I mean? So I don't feel like this is a you specific that should tell her, please stop doing that. I feel like everyone else should also chime in as well. I'm just saying. Also, and again, your mom tried to, I guess, take the book out of your hand to see what you were reading. You're being very defensive about this. You're like, this is my book and you will get to look at it. Girl, it's okay that you read some smut. It's not that deep. It's perfectly fine. A lot of people do. I'm pretty sure your mom probably has read some smut in her time as well. It's not that deep. Like, it's okay. You don't need to be ashamed. You like a book with a little bit of smut. Okay. Read what you want. It's okay. But I will say, you got voted as the asshole on this. I feel like it's a little bit of everyone sucks because I do think your sister is intentionally being a dick to piss you off and just to annoy you. But I do think you are letting this get to you a bit too much, personally. And I'm not saying you're not validating your feelings of like kind of being uncomfortable with it, for sure. But I think you're just playing into your sister's hand. She wants to annoy you and you're letting her annoy you. And I feel like you are within your right to like stop recommending her books because again, she's taking the shit you recommend and intentionally going out of her way to make you uncomfortable and to piss you off. So stop recommending her shit. And if she's like, well, why don't you recommend me anything? Like, because you're a dick when I do. That's how I feel about it. I feel like, in fact, I feel like it's moving a little bit towards where your sister's a dick. Your sister's the asshole. Now that I keep talking about it, I do think you stop caring and stop letting her get to you because she's tap dancing on your nerves and she is succeeding at it very well. But yeah, just stop giving her books, stop recommending her stuff, and I feel like that's perfectly fine. But other than that, that's how I feel. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I do feel like you're both kind of being immature. A little bit. Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend I found her favorite book to be just okay? See, this is one of those, everyone takes opinions on their favorite books so personally. So we'll see how this went. I, 22 male, and my girlfriend, 22 female, both love reading. We love reading a lot of the same books and talking about them together. She's been wanting me to read her favorite book of all time, Swan Song by Robert McCammon. I do own that and actually want to read that. She wanted me to read it and I thought it sounded pretty good and I love post-apocalyptic stuff, so I agreed and she was really excited. Well, I read the book and though I didn't think it was bad by any means, a lot of it just wasn't for me and I thought it was pretty flawed in a lot of ways. I thought the romance in the book was terribly written, there was missed opportunities for things that could have been really fun, and I hated the ending. I told all this to her and she was shocked. She accused me of not actually reading the book, to which I mentioned several scenes from the book, ones I enjoyed and ones I didn't, to show her I did in fact read it. I hate that people's first instincts when you say, yeah, I didn't like this, like, well, did you actually read it? Or like, do you actually get it? She was very upset and asked how I could possibly not love the book and even asked if maybe I was mad at her and telling her I hated the book to be mean. I, of course, told her that I wasn't mad at her. I just didn't like the book that much. She was still very upset and left saying she needed to be alone for a bit. This was a couple nights ago. I've tried calling her, but she won't answer or return my calls. And now I'm thinking maybe I did something wrong if she's really upset her that much. I'm going to be honest, dude. Your girlfriend is taking this way too fucking personally. And because I'm on Book Talk, I see this a lot. And because you think this is definitely an overreaction to someone not liking your favorite book, but this is genuinely how people react sometimes in my comments over on Book Talk, because people take that you not liking their favorite book so personally, because a lot of people really do make loving this certain book their entire personality. And a lot of times I feel like they see themselves in certain characters, and when you say, well, I didn't like that, it makes it seem like you're saying, well, I don't like you, and it seems like that's exactly how she's interpreting this, which is insane. And honestly, I think this level of a childish, immature, honestly petty reaction from her to say, oh, I'm too ill for, but I can't talk to you right now, and thinking that this is some way for you to slyly say that you don't like her is so dumb. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm surprised you still want to be with her, because that would give me such the ick. Like, I can't. And even there was someone in one of my most recent videos, I think I was talking about, I said I don't like Holly Black because I have DNF the Cruel Prince and I really hated Thief of Night. And someone in my comments was like, I just don't get how people can't like Holly Black. And I thought she was being like kind of funny with it, where like people say, oh, I just don't understand how you just don't like this book. But like you get that like people have differing opinions. But no, she was like doubling down, like multiple comments just being like, I just don't get it. I don't understand. Someone even said people have different opinions. She's like, I don't get it. How do you not understand that people have different tastes? People will like different things. Even if you and I both love high, epic, dark fantasy, I might be a Joe Abercrombie girly, you might be an R.F. Kuang girly. And I might not like that, and you might not like that. Like, even when you have aligning tastes, you can still differ on things. And the way some people just can't grasp that irritates the shit out of me. Because what do you mean your boyfriend not liking your favorite book is like you are now ignoring him and giving him the cold shoulder because he didn't like your book? And I mean, I get if maybe the way he worded it, because obviously I don't know if he said it exactly how he said it in here. If he was just like, yeah, it didn't work for me. I didn't like the romance. I thought it was poorly done. I really hated the ending. Then like maybe I can understand why she's like kind of annoyed, because I do feel like if this is your girlfriend, you could be like, you know what, it just wasn't for me. I didn't love this. It was okay. I didn't like. You can have a bit of a little tact. You can sugarcoat it a bit. Like, don't go and be like, yeah, this book was ass. It sucked. I hate it, knowing it's her favorite book. But with the way, I don't know, he said it here, it didn't seem like he was intentionally being rude. I don't know, but yeah, honestly, I do just think she's being very childish about this, because her giving you the silent treatment over you not liking her favorite book is dumb. At the end of the day, it's very, very childish. People are not going to like your books, or people are not going to like books that you love. Like, that's just kind of how it is. And expecting someone in your life, whether that's friends, family, loved ones, to love every book you love. Oh, and I totally agree. Someone wrote here that it's okay to realize something you like isn't the best and acknowledge that you still like it simply for sentimental reasons, for the memories of the feelings you had when you read it the first time. And I stand by that, because I'm like, there are so many books. I don't know, maybe just because a lot of the books that I love, I feel like have the same amount of praise as they do critiques. So like R.F. Kuang as a whole, there are plenty of people that love her books, and there are plenty of people who critique her books. Normal people, so many people critique that book. So many people don't like that book, and so many people love it. So if someone came up to me and said, yeah, hey, I really don't like that book, I'd be like, yeah, I don't understand, because clearly those things worked for me, but I understand that this is my opinion and these are things that I like. And if you don't like those things, you're probably not going to like the book, you know? So she's being childish, 100%. I'm never one to be like, break up, but like, you definitely need to have a discussion about this, because this is such a wild overreaction to someone not liking your favorite book that you may want to have a little chit chat with her. Am I the asshole for wanting to read a book I purchased for my husband? So I'm a big reader, always have been. At the beginning of quarantine, I purchased a bunch of used books online to keep myself busy. While I was getting books for myself, I researched and bought a fantasy novel for my husband that I thought he would like. I only ordered the first in the series just in case he wasn't in love with it. Well, he seemed to like it, and after he finished the first book, I went ahead and ordered him the sequel. The sequel has been sitting untouched on our shelf for a couple of months now. I was bored and wanted to read, so I asked my husband if I could read the first book I'd gotten from him. He said yes, so I did, and I ended up really liking it. When I finished the first book, I naturally went and grabbed the sequel on the shelf. This upset my husband, who told me he didn't want me to read it, and that I had purchased the books for him, and now he felt like I was taking them for myself, and he didn't like that. I was taken aback. The books had been completely ignored until I went for it, and since we live together, it's not as if the books won't go back on the shelf when I finish reading it in a week. I view our books at home as a library of sorts. It's on the shelf and not being read. It's free game. Am I wrong here? Should I completely check out a copy of this book at the public library to read and leave his copy gathering dust on the shelf? Then we've got a few edits. Let's just talk about the original one before I get into the edit. Yeah, your husband's being a big baby about this. This has been sitting there for months untouched. And I get you're like, oh, this is a gift for me that you're now using, but like, so? Like, I don't get that. It's a book. Like, I mean, I get it to an extent. Like, you bought it for me and I haven't read it yet, but you also like live together. Are your shelves like not combined? Do you have your own separate, these are my books, those are your books, we don't touch them? And maybe it's just because, like, you guys know I got a big old jar of unread books that, like, I wouldn't care if someone I was living with, granted I don't live with anyone, but I wouldn't care if someone was like, hey, can I read this? I'd be like, no, I haven't read that yet, that's for me. Even if they were the one like to give it to me, I'd be like, no, I haven't read that yet, you don't get to read that. I wouldn't give a shit. Who cares? It's a book. Like, I don't know. And it's not like, because like clearly you read the first one before her and then she read it after you were done. So it's not that you don't get to read it first. It's just her reading something she gifted you. That's what I meant. Like, I'm like, so what? She should buy a new book. She should get it from the library, like she said. Why do that? You have a copy that you're clearly not reading. It's been sitting there for months. What is this need to be like, no, don't touch my stuff? Is this man an only child? Because this seems like such a weird, possessive way to feel about this book. Like, and the only way I think is that Like I said, like maybe because she's reading it before he is, but it really just seems like it's because she gifted it to you, and so because it was a gift from her, she's not allowed to use it. Dumb as hell. There are plenty of things I've been gifted that I have let said person who gifted me use. Like, what are we talking about here? What are we doing? All right, let's get into the edit. Edited to update. We had to talk about it, and I asked if it was the book that he didn't want me to read or if it was the story. He doesn't want me to read the rest of the story, even if I check out the book from the library, because he says that then the books I got for him would no longer be a gift and would just be something I bought for myself. I asked him then if he planned to read the book right now and then I could read it when he was done. He said no, he has no intention of reading the book anytime soon. I'm quite baffled. I asked him why. He said okay when I asked to read the first book when he wouldn't let me read the second. He said it's because he already read the first one. Second update. But clearly, yeah. So it's because he wants to be the first one to read it, which is stupid. Second update. So we talked about it and the conversation got a little heated. So we went our separate ways to cool down. I texted him that my feelings were hurt that he wouldn't let me read the book and explain my reasoning. He messaged back and was able to articulate why he wants to be the first to read the story. Typically, I'm the one recommending him books to him. So when he reads, I'm asking which parts he's at and getting excited when he's coming up on thrilling parts of a story. I naturally know what emotions were going through my head at exciting parts of a story and would chat with him about it after he would get past those parts. So this time he explained that he wants to be in the lead, so to speak. He wants to ask me what parts I'm at, and he wants to already know what's going to happen. He said he enjoyed watching my reaction to parts of this story he knew were coming. He also said that this was the first book he connected with in a long while, and he wanted the world to be just his for a little bit. He mentioned that he knew he was being selfish in this matter, but asked me to just let him have this right now. While I can sort of understand the delicious feeling of creating your own world as you read and becoming engrossed and protective of it for myself, I typically chomp at the bit for others to read the books and experience the world for themselves. I struggle with fully understanding it, and while I appreciate his communication, I'm still hurt. Reading is a depression management tool for me, and I'm hardly keeping PPD at arm's length. So I think I'm probably taking this whole situation a little harder than normal. We haven't spoken anymore after his message. I kind of shut down a bit and retreated to do some work. And now the pair of us are preparing for bed. I love him to bits, and even if he's being a butthole and a half right now, I'm hoping that we can talk a little more about this in the morning when the hurtful things we said earlier no longer sting. Final update, I let him know that if it was important to him, I wouldn't ask to read the book again. For those cursed, the book is called The Name of the Wind. The Name of the Wind! Okay, so it's only the second book. Realistically, you're both gonna read the book before the fucking last book comes out because it's been over a decade. Okay, I'm still gonna say not the asshole. I do think he is being the asshole, but like I get his reasoning to an extent that this is something that he feels very passionate about. Like he really connected with the story, and he kind of wants the feeling that you get when you're like ahead of him and you're really excited about the parts that he's getting to. So he wants to have that same thing with you, like you did in the first book. So I understand that. Should he have said that from the beginning? 100%, because he was really just kind of being a dick at the beginning. So I understand him. I feel for him. I get it. And to be honest, like I said, even if you read that second book, you're not getting the end of the story. So you're still going to be left on a cliffhanger either way. So I feel like you could definitely just give this to him at this point. Which I think you said that's what you're going to do, even though you don't really understand. Personally, for me, I'd be like, I kind of feel the same way. I'm like, it's a book, like it's whatever. But if he's very passionate about the fact that like he really wants to have that kind of, I'm assuming like bonding element with you with this book, then yeah, I say, just give it to him, let him have it. You clearly love him. Like you said, you love him to bits. I say this isn't the hill to die on. Because again, it is The Name of the Wind. It is the King Killer Chronicles, which has not been completed. The third book has no sort of timeline on when it's going to be released. So even if you do reading this story and finishing out, you're still going to be left unsatisfied because the story isn't complete. So in this aspect, I say, let him have it. Give it to him. I don't think you're the asshole at all. If anything, I do think he is being a bit of an asshole. But he's being an asshole for a somewhat sweet reason, maybe. So let him have it. It's okay. Someone on here, most of the people gave this not the asshole, but someone here says that they think she's the asshole. And I feel like they're comparing that if you're a movie person, imagine buying someone a movie you think they'd like in an effort to get them into a certain type of film and then watching it without them. I don't feel like that equates, because that'd be like you bought them the first movie, they read it, they enjoyed it, they loved it, they want to continue on. Okay, so I got you the second movie. I'm now going to watch this movie. Oh my God, this was so good. I had so much fun. Let me move on to the second. You're like, no, you can't watch it. Because he clearly even stated it's not even that she bought it for him. He just doesn't want her to read the story at all because he wants to be ahead, which I understand his reasoning and I see that's fine. But saying that you're not allowed to continue on because you bought this for me, so this is my story, you don't get to read it anymore. That's not how that works. You don't have to. And he said not watching it together. They weren't together. He read the book. Then she read the book, and then that was kind of the end of it. She bought him the first one intentionally, and then he liked it, so she's like, okay, here's the second one. I don't really feel like that counts. And you do well. It's not about the physical object, it's about the experience. And that's where I feel like we agree. I would say it's been 2 months. That's not really a lot of time. I thought it'd been so much longer. People are like, it's been months. So I was thinking it's been like 8, 12, which as a procrastinator when it comes to series, sometimes it takes me a year to get to the next book in a series. So it's only been 2 months since you read the first book. I don't really feel like it's that deep. So I definitely feel like you could very much give him this. I do think this person's saying they think she's being petulant about it. I don't, because to be honest, he didn't make it clear that this was about the experience when she asked. So if I'm reading something, I'm saying, oh, I'm going to go on to the next book. He said, no, you're not allowed to read that. I'd be like, why? What are you talking about? And then he explained to me, and even then she's like, I still don't really get it, but like, if they are very passionate about this, okay, which fair. Personally, I don't really give a shit if someone moves on. So I can't really relate to the sense to be like, well, I just want this experience with you. I personally don't care, but I know you care about it. And I know this is important to you, so I'll do that. I can't relate in the sense that I'm like, oh, I totally get it. I would do the same thing because I wouldn't. But it's very important to you, and you want that experience. So that's what she's doing. She understands that this is important to him. This is what he wants. So she's letting him have it. I don't really feel like, at the end of the day, personally for me, I don't really feel like anyone's super being the asshole. I feel like after his explanation, he's definitely less of an asshole. But that first initial reaction, I feel like he was kind of the asshole. Am I the asshole? Husband ruins book buying. My husband and I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old who both go to a daycare up the street. The daycare hosts a book fair, and I told my husband when we picked them up today I want to buy them each a book of their choice. He said fine. The boys picked out their books, and while we were in line to pay, our 3-year-old changed his mind and wanted a different book. He ran into a little friend from his class who was also getting this book, and I thought, this is great. He wants to get the same book. How cute. I said, that's okay, I'll buy the first choice for myself, and so we'd have ended up buying 3 books. My husband told my 3-year-old he couldn't buy a second choice, then told me I couldn't buy it either. I knew this was going to be a meltdown, and I didn't want to argue in front of the cashier, embarrassing as it was. I said okay and paid the cashier, and the cashier is looking at me like, what the fuck is this guy's problem? My 3-year-old burst into tears, and husband picks him up and carried him out. I was pissed. I wanted to have a good, happy experience buying books, and instead this memory is traumatic. For me too. My husband apologized, but he does this shit all the time. Did he give a reason as to why couldn't get the second book? Could you not afford it? Like, what is the reasoning for this? And you say he does this shit all the time. I think it's time to have a discussion with your husband, because it seems like he's clearly is an ass all the time for no reason really given. Because what was the reason he couldn't get a second choice? I would understand if maybe he said you have to pick, like you can't get both to an extent, but what is the reason? Because the only reason I could think he would say no to him getting both is because his sibling only got one. And if you want to keep shit even, each of you picks one book. So maybe he had to make a choice, but just saying, no, you can't change your mind. You have to get the one you picked first. What? Why? Is there something wrong with the second book? Like, there was really no information given. You're not the asshole. Definitely not. I definitely think you need to have a talk with your husband, because if this is some things he does all the time where he's just like, no, you can't get that. And he's telling you can't buy things. Is he your warden? Does he control you? Because what do you mean he said I couldn't buy it either? I would tell that man to go fuck himself. But that's just me. Because what do you mean you said I can't do something? And it's especially something that's so harmless as buying a book. Especially it's a children's book, I'm assuming, because it's for a 3-year-old. So the book can't be that expensive. Granted, I don't buy children's books, so I don't know. But I know middle grades, it's less expensive than adult books. So I'm assuming children's book are even cheaper. Someone made a good point. Someone says, what happens if you buy it anyways? It's not your job to make sure your grown husband doesn't have a meltdown if he doesn't get his way. So she bought it. I plan to buy it today without him. Also, this is hilarious. I should remember this with my 3-year-old, that daddy hasn't had a meltdown. Hilarious, really. You have a husband that treats you like a child and who ruins a happy occasion and does so repeatedly. What's his problem? Is he getting worse? Why don't you stand up to him? Are you afraid of his temper? Are the kids? There's some serious questions here, I think, genuinely, because like she seems to be brushing this off way too much, that he's just like, no, you can't get that. No, zero explanation, zero follow-up, zero reason as to why, just because he says so, and you're saying, oh, I'm going back without him. So in order to avoid this grown-ass man from throwing a temper tantrum, you're going without him because you knew he'd have a meltdown. That's so ew. Ew, ew, ew. Once again, leave that man. Because what the fuck? He does this shit all the time. Like, it genuinely just feels like he wants to say no just because he can. Just because he's the father, so his word is law. So he gets to say, no, you can't get it. Just because. Not because there's any real reason. Not because he doesn't think the kid. He just wants to say no. And you're just like, yeah, he does that. Girl, stand up. Get a goddamn backbone. Or at least give us more information, because with what you gave us, ew. Ew, ew, ew. I will say, obviously in that situation, you're not the asshole, your husband's being the asshole. However, I do think you're verging into asshole territory because it seems like you don't see his behavior as an issue. And it definitely is. And I feel like it's going to continue to be an issue, especially as your kids get older. Like, I'm not a parent, but your husband or your partner treating you like he's your fucking warden, like he gets final say so, just because with actual no reason giving, seems like a giant, massive red flag, bright, bold red flag. But this woman seems to think that's funny. She's just laughing it off. She says, ha ha, that's so hilarious. Daddy had a meltdown. Ew. Ew. Am I the asshole for ruining my brother's book? Okay, so my 21 female brother, 18 male, has a collection of books. He's been collecting since he was around 10. He reads almost every day and has 2 large bookshelves in his room. I recently started trying to read more and I saw a book recommendation online. I noticed my brother reading the same book a few days earlier. Instead of buying one online, I thought I'd just ask him if I could borrow his. He said he'd finished reading it and to go ahead, but just return it when I'm finished. There was no problem with this on either end. Anyways, I was reading the book in the living room. My brother came in, no problem. I folded the paper over to keep the page, and as I was doing that, he looked over and started shouting at me for bending the page. He grabbed the book from me and stormed upstairs and slammed his door. I followed him up to see why it was such a big problem, but he continued to scream at me for ruining his book. I've always done that with books, and I don't understand why it's bad. I get that he likes his books, but geez. Edit. Thank you all for comments. They were actually helpful. I didn't think this would blow up, but yeah, I'm a complete asshole. Clearing up some things. My brother's autistic, so that's why he reacted the way he did. I'm not excusing my actions, but I genuinely didn't know, and I have since apologized, and I will be buying him a new book and getting myself some bookmarks as well. Yeah, you are kind of the asshole in this situation. I definitely think you redeemed yourself, but when it comes down to it, if you're borrowing someone else's property, you kind of have to treat it how they would treat it. So I'm perfectly fine. Like, I like dog-earing my books, and I like breaking the spine on certain books. And, some books that I have, I really like them to have that, like, weather look, like, especially for, like, a classic. Personally, for me, like, I would love it if the spine was cracked, if the pages were dog-eared, if it's, like, kind of fraying. I love that. But there are some books where, like, I don't want that. So, like, my copy of Jade War, like, I like that it's in good condition. I want to keep it in good condition. I would never break the spine on this one. But that's really me. And it's really, like, book-by-book cases of what I do with it. But if I let someone borrow it and I get it back and my book is like, looks like it's gone through hell, I'm going to be annoyed because that's not how I gave it to you. And that's kind of how I see it. If you borrow something from someone, you should give it back in the same condition it was given to you. So while you may not have any issue with broken spines and dog earing and folding pages, other people might. And it's not your book. So I would definitely get some clarification. Actually, even then, even if your friend totally is fine with dog earing and totally fine with breaking spines, you should not be the one doing it. If the spine's already broken, it doesn't matter. Like, if you keep opening it, just makes it a bit worse. It was already kind of in that state. But to break a spine on a book that isn't yours is kind of fucked. I really do. I think that's really fucked up. Because I would be annoyed. Even if it was a book that, like, I knew I would break the spine myself or dog ear myself, you doing it would irritate me. And yeah, because at the end of the day, is it just a book? Sure, but, like, it's his. It's not yours. So if he doesn't want you dog earing something and he's upset by it, you kind of have to take that. Oh my God. But I do appreciate that you're like, yeah, you know what? That was my bad. You clearly thought nothing of it because it's what you normally do with books and you thought it'd be fine. But I like that, you figured out that, that was not nice and you bought him a new book. And to all the people out there, because there's so many people who do that, you will give someone back a book that they gave it to you in pristine condition, you gave it back to them and it looks fucked up. Just buy that person a new book. Like, genuinely, if I borrowed a book from someone and, like, I accidentally, because a lot of times it was an accident, then buy them a new fucking book. I don't understand why you're giving them back this beat up, fucked up book. Just buy them a new fucking book. They did you a favor and you were now returning a fucked up book. That's no. So yeah, that's my final thoughts on it. It's totally fine if you like to do that to your books, but keyword, your books. They were his. So if he doesn't like it, buy your own book and use it. But if his book, so, like, just don't do that, okay? Be nice. All right, next up. Would I be the asshole if I sue my sister-in-law for stealing my book and making a huge profit from it? All right, we've got an edit at the top, and then we do have an update. So let's read the main story first. I, 24 female, write as a hobby, and I like sharing my short stories with my small following. I do want to publish one day, but I want to make it perfect first since it's not edited yet. The unfinished book we're talking about came from an idea that I started to build when I was in middle school. I just finished it last year, but because of the virus, I was forced to put that project aside to ensure steady employment with my day job. My brother and my sister-in-law came to visit me to introduce their baby daughter about 6 months ago. Sister-in-law just thrusted her baby into my arms, even though I lack even the barest knowledge on how to hold a baby. The baby was fussy and my brother helped her calm down. while sister-in-law said she wanted to use the bathroom to pump breast milk. They left later, and I didn't think anything of it until recently that I was told sister-in-law published a book, and it had been a while since she published. Self-published is not as time-consuming as traditional publishing. I don't doubt my sister-in-law's intelligence because she is a smart woman, but I've always heard that she dislikes books because they're boring and drags on. I wanted to show my support and brought a copy, only to realize it's way too similar to mine. I compared it to my copy of unpublished work. It's obvious it's been edited and proofread for fluidity and clarity. I was angry, and I admit I overreacted by confronting her over the phone. She said my screaming was upsetting her and hung up on me. It was a back and forth battle with phone numbers to get to the truth. By this time, my parents and her parents are involved. Unnecessary edit because there are just too many ugly messages. To those who think this is a fake because of incoherency, grammar, and structure, it's why editors and proofreaders exist. They're hired to fix the manuscripts before publishing. I didn't proofread this, and that's my fault. I like to write, but I'm not a professional writer. English is my second language. To those who think it's impossible to make lots of profit from a one-time self-published book with an unheard of author, sister-in-law has a decent following. When her followers buy the book, it climbs Amazon's ranking, and that means it's more visible to other buyers interested in the same genre. I came here not for legal advice at first because I was struggling morally. I needed help not to have people attack me in private messages and in the comments. To those who only commented that this is fake or how I can't be a writer who fail at basic writing skills, if you don't have anything useful to say, please kindly keep your relevancy to yourself. Burn. So what I'm hearing is this woman went through your shit and then stole your book and published it. I don't know what you can do for that. I would definitely contact a lawyer. I'm assuming you did because we do have an update, so I'll read that in a second. But right off the bat, you're very much obviously not the asshole. She definitely is. Aside from the main fact of she stole your work, but also she clearly went into wherever you're keeping your laptop, your office, your bedroom, whatever, went through it, searched for your unpublished work, and somehow sent it to herself or took it or whatever, which is even bigger concern because I guess maybe she follows you, so that's how she knows you, right? How she knew you had this, I feel like that's a pretty big concern. Yes, she stole this story and she's publishing it as her own, but who knows, maybe she didn't go through your shit, but that's maybe she just, because you say you post online, so maybe I don't know how she got this story, but either way, that's really fucked. Look into that, because if she did go through your shit, literally never invite this woman over again. Cut her out of your life. And I know clearly this is probably gonna affect your relationship with your brother-in-law, but or not brother-in-law, your brother. But yeah, she 100% stole your work. And if you can prove it, sue her. 100%, because this seems like something she would continue to do in the future as well. I mean, clearly you can block her and all that stuff, but people can make who knows how many accounts to just keep finding your stuff. But I would sue 100%. You're not the asshole. She's 100% the asshole, because why would you steal from your sister-in-law? Why would you steal from your family? If you're clearly not a writer or whatever, why would you steal from family? Because that just seems like a good way for you to blow up your relationship with someone. But clearly, I mean, she doesn't care about your relationship, because why on earth would you steal from someone? And if someone says you have to stand up for yourself, or else you'll be enabling another shitty person in the world to continue stealing from you and hurting from you. Exactly. Do not let this woman get away with this. 100% sue her. Or I don't know, because clearly, I guess I'm not a lawyer. I don't know the legalities of this, but do something. All right, let's go to the update. She originally posted, things did not go as planned. I can't give you an update now, but soon. Really sorry. And then another update on the apology. It's not out. She said she needed more time to prepare her emotional state, and she's overworked with their child, but she'll let me know when I can have the apology. And then now we get into the full update. Thank you, everyone, for giving me advice on how to proceed with this mess. After speaking with my pre-law friend, I decided to go the legal route. I reiterated my compromise with sister-in-law and my brother, but he has fully taken her side. My parents warned me that I'd be disowned and I'd be dead to them if I'm willing to stoop so low. Your family sounds like they suck. Sorry. I hired a lawyer, and given all the details on my side, my lawyer said she needs my unedited manuscript for the book, and my sister-in-law published book along with a copy sister-in-law sent to have it proofread and edited. Because the published book has different parts changed, my lawyer needs the unedited version, which sister-in-law should still have in the transaction she did with her editor and proofreader. We took the risk to ask sister-in-law for the unedited copy, and she sent to her editor and proofreader, despite the chances of having her feign, I don't remember their names, I don't have their contacts anymore, I don't want to, etc. I told sister-in-law that we will go through the route of having to use third-party notarization to ensure no foul play on either part. I have one individual look at my unedited transcript and have the one she sent to her hired editor and proofreader. Once I told her that, she must have realized I was not bluffing. Sister-in-law and my brother accepted the compromise. I took the pseudonym, the royalties, with evidence of sold copies. I stipulated that sister-in-law must put a message out to her followers on her blog that she stole from me, and not a single word in the book is hers. I thank the Redditors for suggesting that. She was clearly pissed off and disgusted with me for doing this to my own family. Pause. She stole from her family, but she's mad that that she's having to reap the consequences of her actions from her family, this is someone you don't want in your life. Full stop. Like this, she sounds like an awful person, and your family sound awful too. I can understand your brother taking her side. I don't think he's right at all. But like that's his wife and you know he wants to stand by her, whatever. She's definitely in the wrong and he should stand by the fact that and tell her she's in the wrong. But that's his wife, he wants to stand by her. But your parents taking your sister-in-law's side over you gives me the feeling that like maybe your brother was like a favorite child. Because in what world does this outsider steal from you and they're just like, okay, that's fine, whatever. Like, I don't know why you're making this such a big deal, whatever. And granted, I don't have a sister-in-law, I have a brother-in-law. And I will say if my brother-in-law stole from me, I'm pretty sure everyone would be like, that's fucked up. Like they would, and I had proof that he stole, they'd be like, yeah, no. Granted, my brother-in-law's great, he wouldn't do that. But still, like what? I can't. That's really fucked up. It really is. All right, continue on. I threatened her with further legal proceedings if she doesn't do it. No lawsuit happened, but I'm glad I got a professional option just in case. As words got back to my parents of what I did and how dare I got a lawyer to punish sister-in-law because her blog followers will surely lose trust in her and future revenue, I told them and my parents that if they have anything to say, use my business email. I love that for you, girl. Tell them, yeah, you can contact me through my business email or nothing else. I'm done with them. We love to hear it. They treated an outsider, sister-in-law 1 month into dating my brother, better than they ever did to me. I don't need that negativity dragging me down. So she's only been with your brother a month? Granted, you did say she had his kid. So clearly, they have to have been, maybe they're only officially together. Well, either way, she's still new. She's still brand new. And the fact that they are taking her side, you don't need those people in your life. They clearly suck. Cut them off. I'm happier, more free with my opinions, and I don't have to feel the need to compete with everything sister-in-law does just to get my parents to love me a little more than a daughter in name. Know your worth, girl. I have my friends. They've always been more of a family unit to me than my biological ones. I knew I was going to lose something coming out of this, but I didn't expect I'd be okay with the disappointment and hurt. Thank you, everyone, and no, I will not be telling anyone what the name of the book is because I only came here to get a moral judgment and update everyone on what happened. Please don't think I'm using this for clout. The book will not be promoted on Reddit, not then, not now, and not in the future either. I love this for you, girl. Or guy, I don't think you, did they say? In the past story, yeah, 24 female. I love this for you, girl. Your family seems awful and toxic, and I am happy that you have kind of your own little found family with your friends and you're close with them and you have them to support you, because 100% if you would let this go, this woman would have continued to take advantage of you 100%, and she would have continued to take advantage of other people. So I'm glad that you stood your ground, you stood up to her, and you got her to not only give you your rightful dues, but to out herself as a liar to her followers, as you should, because people saying, oh, well, they're not going to trust her anymore. She's a liar. They shouldn't trust her. And the people that want to enable this, fuck them. You don't need them. I'm really happy this turned out so well for you and you feel so much freer now and you feel better. Because yeah, while it sucks, and I know like I have no experience with that, of having like toxic family and having to cut off toxic family, and I know it can be hard, I'm happy that you feel so much better about it, that it's not like eating away at you, and I'm happy that you seem like you're doing really well now. All right, we're gonna go into our last story, and I wanted to end on one that I thought would be good. So the title for this one is, Am I the Asshole for Telling My Partner He's a Terrible Novelist? Novel writing has been my husband's lifelong passion. We've been together for 8 years. He hasn't had much success with it, so I've been insisting to read his 2 manuscripts. One is fantasy, and the other one is realistic fiction. He finally let me read both of them a few days ago. They are awful. I mean, awful at minimum. The writing itself is the definition of purple prose. There are so many adverbs. Here's a sample sentence. She walked cheerfully through the forest, eyes drifting lazily over troves of purple flora. Not terrible, but I mean, I don't like it, but it's not terrible. The adverbs aren't it. The plot arcs are riddled with cliches. The female characters are borderline sexist portrayals. He feels the need to mention their weight before their character. His fantasy manuscript has a basic chosen one concept with minimal twists and expected outcomes. His fiction novel is, no offense to fans, a John Green-esque impression of how teenagers speak and behave. There's an entire chapter with 2 characters smoking cigarettes in the park talking about the futility of existence. I decided to be honest. I told him I don't see how his existing work could be salvageable, but that his writing was decent on its own. It is grammatically correct and whatnot, but it's just bad. I recommended he take courses to improve. He absolutely freaked out and told me I shouldn't have torn apart his life's work. All right, it is a little bit later, and as you can tell, it's gotten a bit darker, so I had to get out the light. However, this is probably the last one of the video, so we can wrap it up. I didn't give my thoughts on the last one. I told my partner he's a terrible novelist. And my thoughts on this is that it seems like you badgered him to get to read his manuscript. He said you've been together for 8 years, and he seems like he's been doing this the entire time you've been together, and you have been harping on him to let you read his manuscript, and then you shit on said manuscript. Now, is the manuscript shit? That's fair. You didn't like it, whatever. But I think harping on someone to be like, can I read it? Can I read it? Can I read it? Over and over again for, I don't know how long. I'm assuming the entirety of the time you've been together, you've been wanting to read this. And then when you do, here's the thing, if you told him any way that you told us, you do kind of come off as the asshole, sorry. Like, and someone made a good point. They said if you think your life partner is a good test audience for your life's work, for honest feedback, you're looking for delusional support. Because realistically, especially when you ask people close to you, like, hey, can you read this for me? Yeah, you want critique, but like, they are close to you and they do love you and they do care for you. So like, is their critique going to be completely unbiased? Probably not. And that's probably the feedback you want, is something that is unbiased, constructive, but unbiased. And you weren't going to get unbiased from your partner, most likely not. Was it constructive? I don't know. Are you going to take it as constructive, or are your feelings going to hurt? Because personally, like, yeah, your feelings are probably going to hurt because the person you care about said your life's work was shit. And I think realistically, if this is something he's passionate about and he wanted feedback, because again, it didn't seem like he really asked you for feedback. You insisted on reading it and gave him your feedback. Seems kind of fucked up. I think that's what people say, like, unsolicited critique, I don't think is ever going to go over well. And clearly it did not go over well here. I don't think you're like an awful person, because obviously I do think this came from a place of caring. Like, this is something he clearly loves to do, and this is something he's clearly passionate about, and you wanted to read it. I can completely understand that. Someone who loves to read, if I was with someone and they were a writer, were trying to write, I would want to read their stuff. But you just need to know that, like, I feel like any critique you give does, whether it's good or bad, if it's good, it's probably going to mean more, and if it's bad, it's probably going to hurt more. I think that's just kind of how the dice rolls when it's critique coming from someone you care about. It probably does sting a little bit more that they didn't like something that you're clearly very, very passionate about. And while yes, it could be bad, I do think, unless he asked for it, like he said, be honest, be as honest as you possibly can with me. Like, I want to hear your thoughts, I want to hear feedback. If it were just given to him because you were pestering him to let you read it, that's where it's I don't know. I feel like you are kind of the asshole in the situation. But I don't know. I'm reading a lot of some of the replies, and it seemed like people, from the way I read it, it didn't really seem like she said everything that she wrote wasn't how she portrayed it to him. It does seem like she somewhat sugarcoated it a bit. And some people are thinking that, or she could have, but some people are saying that, like, this is how everything she wrote here, which was not nice at all, it wasn't even somewhat sugarcoated, is how she conveyed her thoughts to him. So yeah, if how you wrote it is how you told him, you're 100% the asshole. If you were a bit less harsh, I still think you were somewhat the asshole, because again, you badgered him to let you read it. So clearly he didn't want you to read it for whatever reason. Maybe he just didn't want your feedback. Maybe, who knows, maybe he is aware that, like, his writing isn't the most amazing. It's not, you know, on the level of certain other authors, so he didn't want you to read it, and you insisted, and then you kind of poo-pooed on his life's work, girl. So I feel like I'm leaning towards you're kind of the asshole. I don't think you're like an egregious asshole, but I feel like this one might be on you. It was kind of like, I know you wanted to read it, so like, you either had to love it, and when you hated it, like, I don't feel like that was gonna go over well, you not liking it, which, I mean, maybe you didn't expect to not like it, but I don't think there was a situation in which you didn't like it and you told him. I don't feel like that would have gone over well any which way, simply because he clearly didn't want you to read it in the first place. So the only possible positive outcome would be if you had liked it. Like, that could have worked, but because you didn't like it and you badgered him, I feel like that just makes it hurt more. But that is our final story for today. I hope you guys enjoyed reading these r/am I the asshole stories with me. And who knows, maybe I'll do it again. Maybe we could read some more. Maybe we could expand into other am I the asshole stories, because I just enjoy reading them a lot. Like, they're fun for me. But please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.